Hello from Aylesbury, and not far away from Aylesbury. I have a near neighbour, Dave Sivers, crime writing Dave Sivers, with us today, which is wonderful. And we will be touching, I'm going to ask him to talk about BeaconLit because they are one of our charities, one of the three charities that we raise money for. And we're nudging on £500 between the three of you so far, which is great, to go
Excellent.
towards July. So that gets paid out at the end of the year. And then start again in January. So we're here to talk about you and your writing journey. Welcome, Dave, to Self Pub Fest.
Good to be here.
Thank you. Can you remember? We always start at the beginning. Can you remember the first thing or something that sticks with you as an early piece of writing?
Yeah, when I was about six, I loved writing stories when I went back as far as I can remember. And when I was six, I was into a crime series. It
Even
was a
then.
black cat called Mr. Twink,
Oh,
and he had a sidekick who was the local copper's dog who rejoiced in the name of Sergeant Boffer. And
oh,
the author was Frida Mary Hurt. If you look on Amazon, you'll find, because they're long since out of print, you'll find dog-eared copies on Amazon for like outlandish prices, like
yeah.
135 quid and what have you.
Wow.
Never owned them. I always got them from the library.
Okay.
And I love these stories so much, and decided, wouldn't it be great if my own puppy could be in a similar book? And so I basically stole the plot of Mr. Twink and the
Right.
Pirates, and tweaked it so as instead of having a black cat and the copper's dog, we just had a small brown puppy.
Oh,
And then instead of having pirate rats, we had pirate mice. But that was the only plagiarism I ever did, and
right.
it was never published. So I suspect I got away with that
No.
one.
Well, there are. I'm not long back from teaching a four-part planning, write your novel um, from Swanwick in Derbyshire. And we were talking about the variations of seven plots and the 20 plots. And, Barbara Cartland wrote 700 and something books on effectively Romeo and Juliet, but with a happy ending where they do get together.
Nobody died.
So no, no, exactly. No, they always. It's like with a Mills and Boone. You know what you're going to get at the end. So it's interesting that at 6 years old you were already interested in crime. Had you written anything between then and when you took writing seriously? Were they the kind of books you liked reading all throughout?
I suppose in a way I was. I mean, I wasn't writing for publication as a little kid,
No.
obviously, but I always took it seriously.
Mm,
All of the assignments that I was set at school, if I could possibly turn them into a story, I did,
mm,
and tried to make them the best story they could be, basically. And I think by the time I don't know, about 13 or 14, we had a school newspaper, and you could write fiction for that. And so I
mm.
basically I suppose it would have been a novella in about six episodes for that, which was also crime.
Wow.
But yeah, I've always been into sort of, crime and thrillers and adventure,
Mm,
Famous Five and stuff like that.
sure.
But also what I call, speculative fiction. So that would be sort of horror and, science fiction a bit, but
Mm,
fantasy more so.
mm,
I remember again when I was six, our teacher, Miss Jones, read us The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in
yeah.
sort of daily episodes, a chapter a day all the way through it. And
Wow.
that absolutely blew me away even at the age of six. And Stephen King, who must have been wandering around Maine about 5 or 6 years older than me at the time,
Mm,
was going to write his memoir of the craft on writing,
mm.
and he was going to talk in that about a book being able to pull a reader through the hole in the page and into a different world. And even at the age of six, I knew what he was going to mean by that.
Wow. So when did you really, I mean, you said you've taken it seriously from the age of six. When do I was late 30s until really, although actually blame Stephen King for me wearing glasses because I'd be under the duvet with a torch reading his latest brick of a novel. Um, But even then, in my teens, it didn't occur to me that I could do. I'm still working on doing it for a living, but it didn't really occur to me that writers were. It was a job. When did you kind of think actually there could be, you could make this, more than a hobby, more than an interest, into to doing something
Well, I
serious?
suppose the first time I thought about publication was when I was about 16, and
Mm,
I'd left school and I started work,
mm,
and I'd been writing a few sort of short stories and basically just for fun. But I show them to my parents. And my dad said, "Oh, you ought to try and get them published, son. You know, the Evening Standard publishes short stories." So I sent a couple of them off to the Evening Standard. You have to remember that I knew nothing whatsoever about the publishing industry
no.
or about what was required to actually place a short story in a newspaper or a
Mm,
magazine.
mm,
So I actually remember I sent them one story, which subsequently, years and years later, I sent to one of the writers' news competitions, and
mm,
it didn't win, but it was one of the sort of honourable mentions, you know. And and that one, when I was 16, I sent to the Evening Standard, and it was totally unsuitable.
right.
Know this now. It wasn't the sort of story they published.
Mm,
It was the wrong length. Everything was wrong with it.
mm,
But I sent it off to them, and it came back with a thanks, but
right.
no thanks.
Not for
So
us.
I've basically, by going to by joining a writers group when I was in my late 30s. But I was writing before that anyway. But
Mm,
yeah, I found out how it works basically on the job and by trial and error. I suppose we all do to some extent.
absolutely.
I,
Yes.
I suppose the first time I tried to get an agent was in the early 80s when
Mm,
I was in my 20s then, I suppose.
mm,
And I did get an agent, but he turned out to be not the sort of agent you really want. He suddenly
right.
started talking about me paying him,
Ah, yes. No alarm bells.
unfortunately. But
Yes.
yeah, so that I think by then I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice to actually get stuff published? And wouldn't it be fantastic if I could be so successful at this that I could give up the day job and write
Mm,
full time instead?
mm. Because
Never happened.
you have been writing and publishing for a number of years. Was this before sort of KDP and Amazon really got going, or did you sort of run alongside them?
I was sending stuff to agents and publishers,
Mm,
and as you all know, Morgan, there are two types of rejection letters.
mm,
One is about the size of a postage stamp, and the other one is a letter, 1 or 2 pages, size of A4, that
mm,
shows that A, they've actually read it, and B, that they actually quite liked it, even if they don't want to take you on at that time. And that was what really kept me going.
right.
And so I was writing books and trying to get them published, and close but no cigar until I
Mm,
took early retirement. And I thought, right, I need to have a really good push at this now.
mm,
And I need to think about what has to change. And it was around about that time that KDP and digital self-publishing were first coming on stream.
mm,
And the first time I sort of heard of that, I thought, now self-publishing, because when in those days, when we thought of self-publishing, we thought of these charlatan companies who
mm,
put an advert in Reader's Digest or a daily newspaper saying we're a new collaborative publishing house, looking for authors, send your submissions to us,
right.
and they take large amounts of money off people and
Mm,
present them with a box of books that they could stick at the back of their garage to
absolutely.
fester and occasionally give to their friends and relatives as presents and try and flog at the local, Christmas fair once a year.
Yeah.
Whilst all the time, the rats and mice were getting into them, and the cobwebs were growing on them, and they were getting damp, and it was a complete con, and they just wanted your money. But
Mm,
I knew almost immediately that the digital self-publishing was a different proposition, because the one thing that I did learn on the job was that if you want if you want a book to be read by readers, you need to, well, rule one is write a darn good book.
Yes, that's the trick, isn't it?
Rule two is have it on sale somewhere.
Mm,
And rule three is have people actually know that it is on sale.
mm,
And where digital scored over old-fashioned charlatan printing presses was that you could have it on sale on platforms like Amazon, where lots of people would go looking for books,
mm,
and you had social media and other opportunities to actually tell people that it was on sale.
mm,
And that was really why I didn't rush into it and think, well, I've not got my book published, so I'll publish it myself.
mm,
What I did do was think, well, how does this work? So I didn't quite go back to learning on the job. What I did do was went online and started trying to look for people who appeared to have done okay at this or be doing okay at this and to know what they were doing.
mm.
And she won't mind me mentioning her name. I came across Chris Longmuir.
Okay, yes, I know
She's a
the name.
crime writer in Dundee. You know Chris.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't know her from me. She didn't know me from Adam.
Sure.
I sent her an email through her blog saying, you know, really interested in this, really interested in what you've written about it. I've
Mm,
got a load of questions, and she's helped me ever since. And this was about 2010, 2011, you
right.
know, and she's been my guru ever since. I
Mm,
don't get stuck quite so often, but every time I do, I say, Chris, what would you do about this? And she always knows the answer.
yes. How wonderful. That's the thing I just find amazing about the publishing industry is that 99.9% of people will help, and they'll help willingly for free and go out of their way. And so do we.
So do we, because
It's a lovely
we like to
industry to
pay
be
it
in.
forward, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. So did you launch yourself into the Archer and Baines books, or did you write other books before then?
No, I had well, I'd written loads of books before then, but I had two that I'd had really good feedback from agents on,
Mm,
really good feedback from people who had read them. I believe knew what they were talking about.
mm,
Had also said that I was onto something. No, these weren't contemporary crime at all. These were something that I called crime fantasy.
okay.
So it's a private detective type of figure who calls himself a personal inquisitor,
Nice.
and he's set in a sword and sorcery war. So his sidekick's the dwarf. Most of the crimes involve some sort of magic and sorcery, and there are sort of demons and things in it.
Mm,
And so I got two books in that series ready to go,
mm,
and I published one in August 2011,
okay.
and the other one in I think something like February or March in 2012.
Mm,
And again, you'll know this when I discovered that I had an Amazon dashboard, and I could actually see how the books were going. I was amazed to find that in the first month, the first one sold 23 copies,
great.
and I think eight of those were in the USA, even more mind-bogglingly,
Mm.
which is not a lot, but when you don't think anybody's going to want to buy your book.
No, exactly. And that the whole thing, I don't on my list of questions to I mean I've done you're my 75th now. I have a best and worst, and it's not one I ask specifically because you can see when people talk about the writing, their faces light up. When they talk about meeting other authors, obviously that's a good thing. And then usually the worst thing is marketing. And you go on Facebook groups. I'm a member of nigh on 600 Facebook book related Facebook groups, and you go on there and any of them, and there are so many people saying, "I have a new book out. Please go and buy my book." And people get tired of that, and that's part of the reason why I set up Self Pub Fest, because it's all about getting to know the author. and yes, once somebody has several books, and there are readers who only they'll wait until an author's written 3 in a series before they'll buy all 3, because I'm sure people have come up to you, especially at WI talks and so on, and they go, "I love your new book. When's the next one?" And you
That's
go,
right.
"Wow, that's actually." How many books do you publish a year, or is that a sort of how long is a piece of string, depending on what else you're doing?
The average is about 16 months.
Is it? Yeah, that's pretty good.
But
That's pretty good.
something. I mean, the last one took me just over 2 years, which
Right.
I'm horrified about. But there was a difficult year in that sort of period.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been around 16 months ago.
Right. Right. And you've got a new series of. How many have you got in the Archer and Baines
Archer and
series?
Baines, there are 7 of those,
Wow.
and these are detectives, Lizzie Archer and Dan Baines, and they're set in Aylesbury Vale actually,
Mm,
where you and I both live.
yes.
And there's a second series of which there are 3 books. But the latest has just been out since July. It's called In Flames, and this is Detective Inspector Nathan Quarrel.
Yes.
And because I'm lazy, they're set just over the border into Hertfordshire, in West Hertfordshire. So you'll see places like Tring and
Okay.
Berkhamsted featured.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. I don't really have a marketing side of my brain. I think you have to a point. But I did back in the day. That one's set all around Northampton, and then this one is Tring and Berkhamsted. No, Tring and Hemel Hempstead. I think it mentions Berkhamsted, but Tring and Hemel Hempstead. And my idea, because I was I was doing WI talks in Northamptonshire and Bedfordshire. The third one was going to be, which will still happen. I've started it. Was going to be Bedfordshire, thinking that from a marketing point of view, then it will be of interest to people in different counties. But I think it's handy writing where you know. Do you include fictional places as well, or is everywhere somebody that somewhere that
No,
somebody's going?
it's a curious thing because when I first started writing, when I was writing the first Archer and Baines novel, The Scars Beneath the Soul,
Mm,
um, I set it in Aylesbury Vale, my big urban area with dark, shady corners where really dark deeds happen, was
mm,
Aylesbury, and obviously it's a shadowy twin of the real Aylesbury.
mm,
But that was to sort of gritty the series up a bit.
mm.
But the and the market towns like Wendover feature. When it comes to smaller villages, I tend to base them on real villages,
Mm.
but give them fictitious names.
Yeah.
And I did that because I had the mistaken idea that people wouldn't want to think of a gruesome and bloody murder happening on their doorstep in their
Right.
little community. When I started talking to WIs, and I happened to sort of mention that, and people were saying, I'd love the idea of somebody being murdered next door to me.
Yeah,
Maybe they don't like
absolutely.
their neighbours, who knows?
Absolutely. Wait.
So when I started writing the Quarrel books, pretty
Yeah.
well every village, every town, every road in those villages
Yeah.
really exists. You have to vague up the address, obviously.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
have
No.
to vague up exactly which house you're talking about.
Mm,
But I know, and people will say, "Oh, that's just across the road from where I went to school."
mm,
And yeah, I think local people. You're right. Local people love to read about their local area, but
mm.
I know that people who don't know the area, who discover the books, like reading about a new place that they perhaps haven't discovered before.
Yes, absolutely.
I have a friend in Germany who wants to come over and visit Hertfordshire because she likes the
Mm,
sound of it from the Quarrel books.
yeah. No, that's the thing. It's slightly different, but I look after book swap libraries. I've been out and about this morning, and I have a list. So whenever I put up the pictures of the ones I've done, so I think I did 4 or 5 this morning, and then the last picture is all the book swaps that I know about, or book libraries that I know about. People, they'll take a day off or take a Saturday and have boot full of books, and they go off and tour them, go around them, and for every book they take, they add 1 or 2 books, and it's great. And I like reading about places I know. But you've done. I learned very quickly with the first one, which was Hitman Sam. I have him living in a fictional village, sort of in a triangle between Towcester, Milton Keynes, and Northampton, and I just thought it was easier because invariably someone will go, "No, you can't do that because it's a one-way street." But things change. It might have not been a one-way street when you were writing it, and then when the book comes out, it's all of a sudden it's a one-way street. So I think yes, having a mix of both is a
Yeah,
good idea.
I've been corrected a couple of times. Somebody came up to me after my second Archer and Baines book came out and said, "Really like your new book, Dave, but you got Marsworth wrong." And I said,
Uh,
Marsworth isn't in it." So he said, "Yeah, but that village is Marsworth, isn't it?"
right.
And you obviously didn't know that one of the pubs was closed
Oh
because
yes, on the bridge.
because although it was a fictitious village,
Mm,
it was based on Marsworth, and I mentioned how many pubs there were. And he
mm,
said, no, one of the pubs is
ah,
closed down.
yeah, but it's not the real place.
No,
So what do you've got? So 2 of the crime fantasy books early on, and then 7 Archer and Baines, 3 Nathan Quarrel.
hmm
That's your catalogue so far.
And
What do you?
there's one little short story collection as well.
Oh, is there?
Yeah,
Is there? That's interesting. I'm going to have to get that. Next time I see you, I'll get that because I
it's
love short stories.
it's
Because
ebook only.
oh, is it? Okay, I shall download it. I'll go and have a look and download it.
Thank you.
Um, so what are you working on next? Your latest book in print is In Flames.
That's right.
Is this will this be another one in the series?
No, this is a complete departure from me. It's still crime.
Mm.
It's still got sort of modern day crime in it. But it's something a bit different, and it's a trilogy.
Oh wow.
So I'm sort of I I've got a thing about jinxing books, so I don't want to
Okay.
say too much about what it's
No,
all
that's
about.
okay.
But I'm excited about it partly because I think it's quite a bit different to what you normally see.
Oh, okay.
It's a different idea, and
Yeah.
so I'm and the research attached to it. I have to stop myself wasting a lot of time
Oh,
on research. I just go and look something up and think, okay,
yeah.
that'll do. Because I don't know about you, I don't like sort of lots and lots and lots and lots of accuracy. I go for what I call sort of plausible what's the word? Not plausible accuracy, but plausible something.
Right. Almost faction.
Plausible authenticity. That's what I go for.
Right.
So people who know about it will think it sounds about right.
Yeah.
People who really know all about it will think, oh, he's got that wrong. Well, fair
Um,
enough, it's fiction.
yeah, no,
And
exactly.
and a lot
Exactly.
of people
Everything's
a lot of people think that I've had people I've written stuff about postmortems.
mm,
People and I've had somebody say to me, oh, liked all the detail about postmortem. I suppose you made all that up.
right.
No, no, I went and spoke to
Yes,
to a
exactly.
pathologist.
You've got to make it realistic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Realistic, plausible, as you say, plausible. But because I say I edit for the 100th reader, because 99 readers won't notice, but there will always be somebody who does. So you got to check your facts and at least get the correct things correct.
Yeah.
See what I mean? So I'm
Or if it is factually inaccurate, know it is and know why you're still doing it.
yes, no, exactly. So it sounds like you're planning. Are you have you ever been a pantser or do you, I call myself a plantser? So I get an idea and then I we have the you have the old who, what, where, when, why, and how. So if you can answer, because we're talking about planning and writing a novel, and so I said, well, the basic plan is if you can answer those 6, 7 questions, and and then any more detail you get thereafter. How much of a plan? You've said it's a 3-book series. Do you know how much happens in it, or are you very much a discovery writer, or somewhere in between?
I've got a structure. I've got a structure for the 3 books,
Okay.
and they're sort of, timelines, if you like. I
Mm,
know some of the main points that need to be in them and through them,
mm,
and beyond that, yes, I'm just, taking the ideas and trying to get from where I know it starts,
mm,
through where it's got to go to where I know it's got to finish up. So
mm.
I don't plan slavishly. I've
No.
tried it and it doesn't work for me,
Mm,
because I find it boring because I've already done all the creativity to get to that point,
sure.
and B, the characters never want to cooperate with it anyway. So.
Mm. And do you think once you've got to that, you'll then be able to start it? Do you have any sort of regular times for? Because some people write in the morning, some people write in the evening, some people just as and when they've got time. Do you find that there's a best time for you?
When I was doing a day job, if until it got really busy, I would sort of, work in my lunch break,
Mm.
and
Oh,
so I would work on the laptop on the train.
that's okay. Yeah.
And when I was newly early retired, I thought, okay, best thing to do is get up early in the morning and, write for an hour or so before breakfast.
Mm,
And that's all right when you're, you know still quite a young guy because you've retired early.
mm,
It got harder and harder until I thought this is going to kill me, so I stopped
mm,
doing that. I've got a number of other things that I'm up to as well as writing,
mm,
and so, basically now I sort of try and look at my week ahead.
mm,
Probably on Sunday, I'll have a look at the week ahead and see where the gaps in
mm.
my diary are, and think, okay, I'm going to set a fair chunk of that morning or afternoon for writing. So no, I don't
Yeah.
have a regular time, but
No.
I do try and make an appointment with myself to sit down and write regularly.
Mm. That's a good idea. I like that. You mentioned the WIs earlier on, and I know you do a lot of WI and presumably other organisations, U3A and other organisations as well. It pleasantly surprised me because I write crime and women's fiction, that they love crime. Almost the darker the better.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, they'll come and say, what's got the grisliest murder in it?
Mm. Because they do
And they
say
love.
that more women read books than men. If more women read fiction, will tend to read fiction. A
I'm
lot of
sure
men
that's
read
you've only
non-fiction.
got to go to the festivals, haven't you? I
Mm,
mean, I
yes,
know that
to
a lot
see
of
the
people who go
audience.
to festivals are interested in writing as well as
Yeah,
reading, but you've only got to go to the festivals and you can see that there's a predominance of women in
absolutely.
the audiences.
Which is a nice link, nice segue to BeaconLit. So it's been running for 13, 14 years, longer than that.
2013 was
Right.
the
So
very
yeah,
first one.
13th year this year.
You'll actually remember turning up on Ivinghoe Lawn, which is what we
I
call the
do, in a
village green in
marquee.
Ivinghoe, in a marquee.
Yes.
But it was the Ivinghoe Summer Festival. They used to have a dinner dance on Friday night, a comedian or similar on Saturday night, and
Right.
there was this gap in between on a Saturday between sort of clearing up after the night before and
Mm.
getting ready for the Saturday night. And they said that we would have that for a little book festival to try
Oh,
try and
great.
raise money for the local library.
Yeah.
And that seemed to go down very well and be reasonably successful. So we
Mm.
thought we'd like to make it a full day,
Mm.
and do it every year. So we've been doing it ever since, apart from 2020 when nobody was doing
Of course,
anything.
nobody could do anything. Yes. And you raise money for the local libraries.
We do the Beacon Villages Community Library, which is why it's
Yeah.
called BeaconLit.
Mm.
and it's manned entirely by volunteers. The library, I mean. So it relies on fundraising to help it
Mm,
keep going and to provide a service to the community, which is not just Ivinghoe, it's all of the villages around Ivinghoe Beacon.
mm,
For listeners who don't know, Ivanhoe Beacon is like a great big hill in the Chilterns. It's what the name suggests. It's where they used to light the warning beacons way back in the day. You know, when people would light the beacon and the person on the next beacon would light theirs. That's why it's Ivanhoe Beacon. But
mm.
there are a whole bunch of villages around it, and they're all served by the library in Ivanhoe.
Sure.
And so BeaconLit is run and staffed by volunteers as well.
Yeah.
And we really love doing it.
Mm. And you have a really good mix of authors. If you had I mean, this year poetry, you had two authors, one to one. Adina Campbell was one with Sue Moorcroft. I think Liz Harris closed the festival um,
Yeah,
on a Saturday afternoon. And you involve heavily with publishers, especially Arenda. I know they've been very supportive
Render a bit
over the
have been
years,
brilliant.
and provide you with the authors. But you also have had self-published authors as well, indie authors as well.
We have. But
As
one of the most sort of heartening and one of the things that I'm particularly pleased about, and it's taken a long time to get to this point, is that I we are now starting to get pitched by some of the sort of big five publishers
mm,
saying how are things coming along for Beacon Lit. We'd like to see if you're interested in taking any of these authors,
oh, great.
and it'll be which of these bestsellers do we want, you know.
Yes, no, exactly.
It's still, again, anybody who's involved in festival organisation will know that it's still not as easy as all that, because for every publisher that comes and offers you an author that will fit in well with your program, there'll be
Mm,
another author you'd really like who you can't get.
no, exactly. There's only so many you can take in 1 year. And the thing is, you need the name to get the bums on seats.
Exactly.
Because it would be lovely and you have a new voices panel, which is fantastic. Debut authors, or perhaps not necessarily debut authors, but authors who might have had previous books, but have had um, a book that's done particularly well.
Well,
Talking about
the new voices are always debut authors. I mean, the only time we'll sort of move slightly from that is if, for example, you've got somebody who's known for non-fiction, who's
right,
published their first novel,
yeah,
or somebody who's did something years ago and now they've come back, but under a new name and
right,
writing a new genre.
yeah,
Again, publishers are very supportive, but they're very keen also, I think, for their new authors to get festivals.
exactly.
So I start researching sort of at the end of the year, the beginning of the new year,
Mm,
into who's predicted to be hot,
sure.
and start trying to get what seems to be the most interesting of those.
Mm. No, it's great. Long
And I
may it
love that
continue.
panel.
Long may it continue. So thank you, Dave. We'll have you back on the 5th of, you'll be back on the 5th of October. We're recording this now in the middle of August. So if October, if not before, that'd be great to talk about one of your books of your choice. And then we have many of those covering all your books would be great. Thank you
That's
very
great.
much.
No, thank you. I've thoroughly enjoyed that, Morgan. Thanks
Good,
very
you're
much.
very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you.